recording.
And we'll
roll. All right, what's up, man? I'm here with Will Harris and Ben Chalvera. I don't know, I can't say it right. I don't have a Hispanic descent, or my drawl kind of messes everything up. But what's up, guys?
How you doing?
So, this is our first podcast. Bear with me, listeners. We're new to this. I'm new to this, but I want to just get some good content out and actually provide my listeners with value. So today I have two people from two different industries. Will's from the oil and gas industry. Ben's from the office printing industry, and both of them have really different backgrounds. So, I mean, I guess, it's interesting. We were just chatting, and Will actually dated Ben's daughter in high school, and holy shit, we just found that out here.
So we finally found him.
Yeah. So anyways, I guess I'll let Will lead since he's in an awkward position now.
Yeah, I'm one of the few that ended on good terms. So
yeah.
No, it's it's two, like you said, it's two totally different industries. So that's kind of like bounce around and just see if the similarities are there. I know a lot of listeners are probably looking for some feedback on maybe marketing or sales or management. So if y'all don't mind, I mean, we all three have different backgrounds in that. So I'd like to kind of just jump around maybe on the marketing aspect of kind of what you do.
Yeah, I mean, cool. I mean, so I really want to we're all for that and pushing, talking about business and marketing, but I want to get in the deep roots of how we got to where we're at. Everyone has different backgrounds, so let's talk about that. Where did you start out at? I know you're in the nightclub industry, the nightlife industry before, or bartending or whatever, something like that. I can't.
Yeah, all the above.
Okay.
So started way back when with the good old management under Tim Huck. Everybody knows Mr. Huck very well.
Yeah.
He, I was going to college, and he was one of those guys that really just pushed me to finish. And he hired me to, help him with Phoenix and manage a sandbar. And, I was working there and driving back and forth from Natchitoches after hours, and got through school. And he told me, he said, the day you graduate, I'm gonna fire you. And if anybody knows Tim, Tim fires everybody and then he hires them. But sure enough, he fired me, and he didn't rehire me. So I had to kind of jump and decide what to do. And my first opportunity I took, and it was with Schlumberger,
right,
as a going into a cement and cement engineer. And the very next week, I was going to Williston, North Dakota, where I spent a couple of years learning. So,
right.
So that's where my oil and gas industry pretty much started. It was a very increased learning curve, but it was good.
Well, now you're on the business side of it. You're not in the field anymore. Because it's interesting, because I started in oil and gas in 2008, I believe, and spent 9 years in the industry before I got into the marketing industry I'm in now. But it really gives you a good perspective on background and relationship-based business with clients and people you work with. Ben, what about you, man? How did you get started? You have an interesting story, and I think I've only heard half of it. So
no, you've heard the half that I think is not under disclosure. But, it's interesting. This is when you told me about this, that you were going to do this. I thought that was really a good idea, because this medium is really taking off.
Right.
And so being that this is the first one, we're either going to look back at it and go, that's when it all started, or that's when it all went to hell.
Exactly.
Exactly. But for me, I'm actually in the industry I'm at today because I married into it.
Okay.
My wife's family started a business, the Laser's Edge, and if you went to high school in Bossier Parish in the 70s or 80s, Milton or Sandra Nix would have been the one to teach you choir.
Right.
And those are my in-laws. Unfortunately, Milton passed away a few years ago, and my mother-in-law still runs the business. I work with my wife,
right.
As I like to say, every day is like Thanksgiving, because we work, and like I was saying, it's the Mexican Thanksgiving, not the portrait Thanksgiving. But we all, it's a very different dynamic how we work, and I didn't necessarily say, hey, I want to one day work in toner cartridges.
Right.
I mean, I want to be an architect.
Right.
Life tends to take you where you need to be. But I will say that it has given me, because of the industry we have, I never missed one of my children's soccer games.
Right.
Never missed one of my daughter's dance line. No, she went cheer, it was her dance line. And it wasn't that the industry made us rich or got us wealthy. but it gave us the time to do those things that money can't buy.
Right.
And that is where I believe we continue to strive to do what we do, because our industry has changed so much that it's unbelievable. And if we were just in it for that, there's no way we would have stayed in it. So, that's why I'm where I am today, because I did work in an industry. I worked in the golf industry I managed properties, and it was, that's a constant growing thing. And when you're off work, you're not off work.
Right. Yeah. You're running business for everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, yeah, I think that's the most important thing. I think that hits home is that if you're able to find something that you're passionate about and actually are able to put the time into it, and then you get paid for it at the same time, who gives a damn if you go from making $200,000 a year to $80,000? If you're at $200,000 a year making that good of money, but you hate your life, you hate your job, why not make the 80 and be happy? I mean, at that point in time, I think that's where I'm at right now. And you guys, I think, I see value in what you guys do, and you're passionate about what you do. And, so it just makes this even much better, us talking about this stuff and not getting too left field in the actual delivery of business, where it's more like, hey, we're doing what we love, but we can all find a common ground.
I'm not doing what I love. Don't get me wrong. No. You didn't ask me that. You asked how I started.
Well, I mean, I know you have hobbies. I know you like Ferraris and Lamborghinis, and you like to paint. That's cool.
But what it does is it gives you time to do
the things you love.
So in that sense, I guess, yeah.
Right. What about, so you lived in Hawaii? Where were you born at?
I was originally born in New Mexico.
Okay.
So my dad was in the military.
And you're Hispanic descent, right?
That's it. Yeah, okay. I'm actually Mexican Indian.
Okay.
I'm Yaqui, Inbres Apache.
Okay.
And some Spanish, peppered in there for spice.
Right.
And, but my dad was in the military, so we lived all over the world. About every 4 years, we moved somewhere. I lived in Oklahoma, Illinois, New Jersey.
Yeah.
Again in New Mexico. I lived in Italy.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up in Italy.
That's awesome, right there.
That wasn't. I did not like it when I was there.
Well, how old were you?
I moved there when I was 13, and then I think I left when I was 17.
So did you see a shift in I guess your environment shifted? Is there less technology there when you moved there, or what's the shift there? Why did you not like it?
Well, I moved to southern Italy, which was basically about 10 years behind technologically from Kentucky.
Right.
No offense to Kentucky. but what it was is there was no television, video, no telephone. Okay. We lived in a town that had where we lived. We lived about 20 miles away from the base, but we lived in a town called Ostuni, which meant White City. It was beautiful, and it's exactly what you figured Southern Italy would look like. But I'm 13, 14 years old. I'm in the prime of what I figure is, hey, I'm all my buddies, football, stuff like that. I moved to a school where the graduating class was 6.
Whoa.
Unfortunately, I didn't graduate from there because I would have graduated in the top, 50% of my class. but I didn't. But what happened is, I ended up learning how to, in that sense, I read a lot of books. I learned how to be happy with nothing. Not in a poor sense, but happy without having to have all the constant stimulation.
Right. Appreciative.
Yeah, very appreciative of it. And the food, my God, the food I got was amazing. I miss it to this day. And so I visited a lot of places people want to read about. I walked up on to the Leaning Tower of Pisa when they didn't have railing.
Right, that's amazing.
Yeah, no, and today I'm like, no, I can't walk across the street without.
Right.
But I've been in the Vatican several times. I was confirmed in the Vatican, when I used to be Catholic.
Right.
And just experiencing a lot of things that I rented a moped one time when I don't think my parents ain't gonna listen to this. But we rented a moped. We were 15 years old. We rented a moped in Rome. And because I wanted to find the Lamborghini dealership.
Right.
And I'm like, let's rent a moped. We rented a moped and we had a map, and it was all Italian. Yeah, it was old school. Like, go 6 streets up, turn right. We got lost. But I tell my son that story today, and he just is like, I can't believe you did that. I'm like, yes, I did. I did that. And so, it taught me to be independent, and just enjoy quiet. And in retrospect, when I go back and look at all of the kids that I went to school with back in New Mexico before I left, a lot of them got into drugs, a lot of them got into alcohol.
Right.
and it was a blessing, that I got a chance to do that. And I got lucky and I did that. And then after that, I moved to Hawaii.
What about that? I mean, dude, that's where the fun started.
Especially so you're probably, what, 17, 18 when you moved to Hawaii?
Yeah, I'll go 17. But here's a good thing with me. Okay, here's a good thing with me. When I lived in Italy, I could pass as Italian.
Yeah.
When I lived in Hawaii, I could pass as local.
That's why I asked, because I wasn't sure where you fell in between those.
Yeah, I could pretty much, blend in,
right.
Pretty good. Like, people ask me here, especially like, hear my name Chavarria, Spanish. They say, you speak Spanish? I'm like, kind of a little bit. And they're like, well, what do you mean? I said, well, I'll put it this way. If we go out to eat at a Mexican restaurant, I can tell them to hold the onions.
Right.
Okay. I can't tell your roofers not to use your bathroom inside your house. But I've been able to pass for those types of things, and I've always been independent. And even when I moved to Hawaii, I worked. I went to school in Hawaii. My parents lived there. They moved. My dad got his assignment. I'm like, well, where are you moving? I thought maybe they moved to Spain or something. I'll go. I just graduated high school, started going to college, and my dad's like, Oklahoma City. I was like, well, adios. I'm going to stay right here. I'm not going to go from Hawaii
I wouldn't either.
To Oklahoma City. And so I met my wife. I met my wife a few years later. She's actually from here. She married a man from Hawaii, and they moved over there, and they ended up, getting a divorce and spent all our business out here too. Yeah. And but people ask, how did you come here? Well, that's how we got. That's how we ended up here. And so my son was born in Hawaii. Actually, I married when I was 22 years old. When I married when I was 22 years old. Chelsea, my oldest daughter, was 8.
Okay.
And my youngest daughter was 2.
Okay.
So I was a 22-year-old with a 2-year-old and an 8-year-old.
That's wild.
Yeah. That's wild. My son's 22.
Now we know what happened when you moved.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, I went crazy, but they're from her previous marriage. And our son was born in Hawaii, but we moved shortly after that because it's so hard to live there.
Yeah.
Especially, quote unquote, if you're doing what you love.
Right.
You got to do something that makes money.
Right.
And so, but that's that's how I ended up here. But I feel very blessed that I've had a ton of experiences, and this is a phenomenal place to raise children. I swear, this is the best.
That's what everyone says. I mean, that's what I hear.
And now my oldest daughter, she's a jet engine mechanic in Dallas. My middle daughter is a registered nurse here at Willis-Knighton.
Right.
My son Sage, she works for Ferrari in Dallas.
Right.
And so if you're in the oil industry, mm-hmm. oil and gas or medical, it's a wonderful place to work.
Yeah.
But my other two children. The two children had different things, and luckily they're close enough to me. I can see them regularly.
That's good. Yeah, I mean, I think we have, I don't know about, you and a younger light, Will, as far as, when I started working really for myself and figured out that I wanted to do something different than everyone else, I really didn't. At first, I was an introvert, so I didn't talk to anyone. It's crazy now that I'm doing this because I was introverted, but I think I spent most of my younger years watching and listening and paying attention mm-hmm. and learning from other people's mistakes and how they were operated, and knew that I wanted to do something differently. And I started working at 13 years old at a sawmill stacking lumber. And we didn't have a lot of money when I was growing up, and that was what I did on holidays and stuff. And I just feel like taking that and putting into perspective now to the kids we have these days, and I say that lightly because I don't have any children, but I get called a millennial all the time, and I don't really know where I fall in there. But I know we're all different age groups, but it's funny to see the work ethic evolve, to where you don't see it a lot in younger people, and I think it's because of accountability. Mm-hmm. I don't think that we have the accountability as a society as much as we did 10 years ago.
Well, I'm going to tell you this. I told my son about 5 years ago, when I saw all this stuff happen, I told him, look, if you're just willing to work 10% harder than everybody else your age, you're going to be.
That's it.
And it's still that way.
That's it. You don't, you used to have to be the hardest working person in the room to get notoriety, but if you just do the bare minimum now and a little bit more, you're going to succeed. Yeah. What do you think? What's your stance on it?
Well, I think the other thing is, too, and I think this is probably going to rub people the wrong way, but it is.
That's okay.
It is a belief.
I'll rub them whatever way.
I think one of the issues, and it is our age group, most of us did grow up, poor, and we had to work for what we had.
Right. And
a lot of the mentality is, as a parent having kids, you want to give your kids everything and them not really work for it.
Right.
So then I think as a society, we're creating that entitlement. So it's like I had to work my ass off to get what I had. I don't want my child to go through what I went through.
Right.
So I'm going to hand them everything, and they grow up thinking that's okay.
Right.
I mean, we see it on TV with some of the, the birthday shows and stuff. And you know exactly what I'm talking about.
The homecoming invitations today.
Yeah,
right. I feel like the chicks are asking the dudes now. What's up with that?
Because, you know why? Because the girl's not going to wait, and he ain't going to do it the way she wants him to ask her. So she's going to do it that way.
Or he can't afford the way that she wants it to.
Right.
I want the Blue Angels to fly over and say yes or no, roll code.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, yeah, of course, but it's like that's where you start as a society. Like now, we wanted to give, our age group and a little bit older than me, we're giving their kids participation trophies and everything. And so they complain about this society now and the kids that are growing up, but they're the ones that created it, and they're also the ones that are complaining about it. And social media, for example, everyone complains about social media and what it's doing to society, but they're all using it.
Yeah.
They control the content. They're generating the content. They're putting the content out there, but they're complaining about the content. It makes no sense, and it's super, counterproductive. Whereas we can't grow because we're putting everything out there, all of our business and all of our personal stuff, all of when we're happy, when we're sad, everything's out in front of people. And it's like you used to escape from escape from reality and use technology as an escape. Now we're having to escape from technology to reality, which is crazy, and it's trying to find a happy medium in there.
And there's so much responsibility and maturity that has to go with social media, because we've seen everybody abuse social media, and it's either, it's jeopardized careers, it's jeopardized families, it's jeopardized relationships.
Right.
I mean, it's just, it has literally changed our way of living, of how we function day to day, all the way from a mentality standpoint to a physical aspect of what you're doing, even for a business.
Well, luckily, I'm old enough that I'm at that age where I really don't know how to use it as much. So, because I tell you all the time, if they'd have had this when I was a kid, I'd have been so much trouble.
Well, they didn't even have it when we were kids, which is crazy.
If I told my son, he's on his phone, I look, I said, if I'd had that at my fingertip, first of all, the amount of trouble I would have got into just from all the things I would have said.
Right. We were dangerous enough by ourselves without any help.
Yeah.
Everything's in your hands now.
And it's so interesting, especially our age group, seeing social media evolve, because I remember
from start to now.
Yeah, because I remember when Facebook first came out, it was just for college students.
Right.
You had to have a college ID email, and that was it. And now it's just like, and then now you see the trending of age groups of who's using what. So you have a certain age group using Facebook, you have a certain age group using Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram. The social media platforms just go on and on.
And the new one, TikTok, all the youngins are using that from, ages 8 and up.
Yeah.
Okay, I saw that TikTok thing. Where are these parents?
Dude, okay, so, hey, I don't know, but look, it's exactly like you said. Yeah. Everyone has a phone now. Everyone has a device, and they're doing some wild stuff on there.
I'm like, at first, and not only that, there's a cookie cutter. They molded some kind of person, made 50,000 copies of them. They're all doing the same dance. But I can't look at it sometimes. I'm like, okay, I gotta go to church now.
Yeah.
Because and that's what I like about you, DJ, is with social media is that you actually use it as a tool, and you're the first person I've met that was serious to the point where it's like, look, you can be exposed this way and this way and this way, and this will help your business because of this, versus, like the people that own my in-laws, they always did radio. Now we don't do any advertising. We don't. Right. But I've seen that change so much, just like our industry in the last 5 years, about how social media and everything changes so quickly. But you understand that, and I don't necessarily want to have the time or desire to do it.
Right.
But you know the pulse. You know what's going on.
Well, it's a necessity. No matter if you're in your personal life now, to fit into society, you have to know what's going on, and social media is your best outlet. And whereas 20 years ago we watched the news every morning, nobody does that anymore. No one reads the paper. As soon as they pick these devices up, they look at them immediately first thing in the morning when they're getting up to take a pee. They're like, let me check my notifications. What happened last night? What tornado? What shooting?
Do you think boundaries have fallen to the point of almost like, hey, I don't really know you.
Yeah.
I follow you. I want to talk. I don't really, I don't really know you.
That's another thing.
I've seen your TikTok videos,
Right.
but I don't really.
Right. That's another thing is I think we're so scared. No one has accountability anymore, and we're so scared to show our true self. That's one main reason why I want to put this show out there is because I want to talk about real stuff, real life. I don't care what you see on social media. The people who create the quote unquote influencers, that's great. But what happens tomorrow if Instagram goes away? What do they have? So if you've not built an actual real following with good content and given value to people who follow you, then what the hell do you have when it's gone? So I think that, yes, we can utilize social media as a whole and use the good parts of it and then, just set the bad parts of it aside. Of course, they're going to cross at some point, but it's just how it works. There's so many people out there that are creating this character, and that's not who they are in real life.
Right.
Because of their insecurities. They want to be this way, but they're not taking the extra step to be this way. They're just creating it real quick, and pushing it out there and say, this is who I am. This is what I look like. A million filters, different angles. Anyone can take a picture of their ass. Anyone can take a picture of their ass or their abs and post it and say, what is it? Hump day, Wednesday.
Yeah.
Wednesday's hump day. Okay, show my ass. Well, that's cool, but at the end of the day, it's just an ass. You know what I mean? Like, it's not, there's nothing.
Booty Thursday.
Yeah, there's nothing there. And another thing is these influencers are creating content based on what people like. Mm-hmm. Okay? So they know, okay, if I do this, people are going to like it. Mm-hmm. So that's how they generate all their content. Instead of being creative themselves, who cares if you only get 5 likes versus 5,000? That one piece of content may result in better reach later on because you're different. You're not falling into the crowd of the same stuff.
Well, and it's actually your own content. You're not just following what somebody else is
Exactly. But that's what we do.
Let's be honest. There's
in your industry,
there's 5 million asses on Instagram.
Yeah, exactly.
So, besides the asses, you guys do a lot in your industry?
We do use social media, but we're more on the LinkedIn side.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is more career-based and professional.
And LinkedIn's hot right now. It's where Facebook was in 2011 or 12. It has a lot of reach. And anyone who's listening, if you're not using LinkedIn, especially if you're in any kind of business, B2C or B2B, you need to be on it. Especially if you think you're B2B, business to business, and you don't realize that you're actually business to consumer, because end user is always going to be consumer. Whoever makes the decision at the business is consumer. Right. So I think if we take a mentality from business to consumer all the time, that our best content is going to be out there. Yeah. People are so worried about their image as a company, and they're not worried about the person who's making a decision.
And another powerful tool for LinkedIn too is if you're in search of employment.
Yeah, of course. Oh yeah. It's a platform now. Well, that's another thing, like researching resumes. No one does that anymore. No. They look at your social media. If you were out partying last Wednesday night till 2 a.m., they're not going to hire you. Yeah. Why the hell would they want someone coming in running their business at 8 o'clock in the morning hungover? You know what I mean? That stuff, like you said, that wasn't around a long time ago. You could get away with a lot more stuff back then.
I could lie on my resume back then. I left because I wanted to.
Exactly. It's insane, man. I don't want to get hyper-focused on business here, but I think that we all are in different industries and we all can work together as a whole. And I think most of this content going out on this podcast is just getting information out there and letting everyone know that it doesn't matter what industry you're from, what you're doing in life, whether you're a striving artist, you're a musician, you're just someone who wants to create a product and create a website and push it out at scale and sell it. Whatever the hell you want to do, we all have the same common goal and to succeed, but you can't do that if you're playing the same game as everyone else and not creating something valuable and different,
I think the other thing too, touching on that point, people need to define their own success. I think that's a big. I
completely agree. Point. And self-worth, man. Self-worth.
And so many people don't understand what true success is. They think it's all either financial or materialistic, and that's not the case at
Vanity.
all.
Vanity runs everything. So it really does.
Touching on your point, talking about how much time you had, your point on DJ on how much you love doing what you do.
Right.
All that is big pieces of actual success and creating that puzzle that you have. And people just need to understand that and define what makes them truly happy in a career, because then they'll be even more successful than they were trying to chase, somebody else's dream.
That's
Well, I'm gonna tell you what took me the longest time to figure out, and I didn't even figure it out until I was probably almost 40 years old, was that what I do is not who I am.
exactly, and that's the biggest issue.
And I used to hold my whole value, my whole worth on where I went to work, what I did, what I was in charge of, who I was in control of, what my responsibilities were. The more responsibilities I had, the more I felt important. The more I felt, I had worth. And then I went from working, 40, 68 plus hours a week to trying to go back to work to 40 hours a week. And for me, it was very difficult. It was almost a depressing type of thing because I felt that I have 10% of the responsibility that I used to have, whereas I should have been happy saying, oh man, I only have 10% of the responsibility I used to have. I had these other opportunities, but no, I was more concerned that I was not in the position I was, and I thought that defined me.
Use that as a tool to say, okay, I'm in the position of power. This makes me better than these people, or it defines who I am.
Or made me feel successful.
Right, exactly. But that's not real.
Exactly.
Right. But now you know. And how old are you now? If you want to do that. No, I mean,
I'm 47.
Okay, and Will, how old are you?
33.
Okay, and I'm 30. So it's like I'm just now realizing these things the past few years. And I thought at first it was because I'm in an industry now where I work with multiple businesses and different people all day, every day. But the fact of the matter is, earlier in life, I was spending money. I was making good money. I was in oil and gas. I was making good money, and I was spending it all on stuff that I thought was cool, just like everyone does now. Like people on social media that take pictures beside fancy cars and act like they're theirs, just to get girls to like their photos so they can hit them up in the DM,
Yeah.
And that goes to a whole nother thing, the online dating thing. Oh. Remember when online dating come out? Okay, I have a point here. When online dating come out 20 years ago, 30 years ago. No, probably about 25, something like that. As soon as the internet launched, a few years later, online dating comes out, okay? And then nowadays, it's almost like nostalgic. You don't hear about it anymore. You have the, hook up in the DM stuff. Mm-hmm. But the funny thing about it is everybody who's using social media to look at booty pics or to get in some girl's DM, they're online dating.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But they hate on it. So it's hilarious to me. You know what I mean? It's like you're still online dating. You're contacting someone you have no idea who they are, and you're sending nudes through DMs and all this distasteful stuff that we've seen over the past few years. It's crazy how it's evolved and how people are just so open with everything they're putting out there. Yeah. But, it's crazy to go back to what I was getting at is that over the past few years, I've grown in the sense that I don't care about material items like I used to, and I really did used to. I bought an expensive house, I had expensive cars, motorcycles, all this crap that I never used that I paid for all the time, and then I would come home and look at it like, crap, this is costing me money, and I'd worked all day, every day, and tired, and then I have paying for all this stuff, and I just have it so I can take girls out to eat or do whatever, and now it's like, man, I don't even care about that anymore. I just want to, whatever I do all day, every day is make a difference, and it's not to me, it's for everyone else, because I think the more you give, indirectly you receive back, and it's not even for that. It just makes you feel better. I think as a society, even people today, when you see those puppy videos where those people rescue dogs, they have so much engagement. That makes me happy because that means that people still give a damn. Because you don't think they do because they worry about so much vanity and so much material items, but then you see that and you're like, okay, as a society, we still have a heart.
Right.
And if we can play on that stuff, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but you still got to find a balance.
Of course.
Because just I love what I do, but you know what? I like getting in my car at the end of the day.
Hell yeah.
Because it's got air-conditioned seats.
Yeah, exactly. But that doesn't define you.
It doesn't.
You're not living on that.
But quality costs. Exactly. Quality is never expensive. But you do get to a point where you say, okay, like I see you got a key that says Jaguar. Now I don't know if this is just a key ring he found somewhere or he
carries it around.
I carry it around. Right for the DM.
Exactly, that's right. It's got a hashtag on it.
Yeah.
But there's certain things along the way where I'm not successful, but I'm happy that my car starts every morning.
Right.
I'm happy that it's warm when it's
Right.
cold. It's cold when it's hot.
Right.
And when I hear a lot of people say stuff like, money can't buy happiness and money can't do this. Well, money can do a lot of things.
Exactly.
But it can do bad things, but also do good things.
Right.
And if you are in a place where you're satisfied, you're content with what you have, then the more money you make, you just set aside, you do invest it and do other things like that.
Right.
But the contentment is where you need to be. And a lot of times, for years, we didn't have a car payment, and then one of my kids was moving out. We gave him one of the cars, and then we had to buy another car, and it was like, oh my God, another car payment. Exactly. You don't want to do that, but. The balance of it's good to have nice things. It's never bad to have nice things. Just don't let them define
right. Don't let them define you. Don't be the reason why. If I want to have a nice vehicle and I want to pay for it, and that's my means of transportation, then by all means, great. But am I working to impress someone, or am I working for myself?
It's what's that motivation and mentality that you have on doing what you're doing. Because me and you just talked about this, downsizing and what's important.
Yeah.
So that's why it's funny that you brought it up, because it's the same thing with me and Amanda. We have this house that is just absolutely gorgeous, but because of our workout schedule and travel schedule and work schedule, we're never home to enjoy it.
Right.
So it's we had to have that serious conversation, like, okay, well, what are we doing?
Right.
And so it's up for sale because we're going to downsize, and there's just no point in having it because we're not there to enjoy it, and we can use that money putting toward experiences with each other and in life and everything else. So I know exactly what you're getting at.
Yeah, in a nutshell. I think we all agree. That's why this vibes well, is because in 20 years you may care about that, but right now you're trying to make your way. You're trying to develop your career. You're trying to build your career, and even still, I don't think in the later years. I think that all the material stuff just seems to diminish.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a grandfather now, and I'm going to tell you.
Yeah, congrats on that. I know it. Hey, you do use social media.
I do.
But you know why? You're proud, and it's real. That is real. Those are real moments you're capturing, posting you and your grandson.
My butterbean is my life.
Yeah.
And it's funny because my son's age, people talk about grandkids because they say, you get a chance to fix your mistakes. You get a chance you get a do-over. I'm like, it's not a do-over. This is a do again.
Right.
I get to do it because I love my son so. I cry every time I have to leave him in Dallas. I'm like, but my grandson, I experience the same things and see them grow. And I'm gonna tell you this though, okay, it's been 20-something years, baby in my house. So when he comes and stays over, I'm like, I picked up every disease, every child-born illness, that I haven't had. But when it comes to a grandchild and having that. Whatever you call it, success. Again, I look at it like, okay, my grandson will never not have somebody to look at him, to keep an eye on him if my daughter's got called.
Right.
Because of this, because of what I do.
Because you're where you need to be and want to be, where you can be versatile
my house is not beautiful. I've beautified it.
Right.
But it's not, it's not in a rich neighborhood. It's,
right.
But I would love to have more money to do things with him. Like you said, it's about experiences.
Exactly.
It's about taking that and saying, you know what? Yeah, we can buy this car. We can go to Italy.
Right.
Or we can do this stuff. And some people go, well, that's just a thing. Yeah, but you know what? Memories you can't repossess memories.
No, you can't.
I think how everyone is raised basically does define them later on in life. And everyone says that when it comes to psychology and going back to, well, was this person abused as a child, or is this person given too much as a child? And I think we focus on that too much. But what it all boils down to is, what did you experience and what are you making out of that experience? Because everyone uses it differently. Do you think that now having a grandson, I know it's got to be a different experience than having a son, because you're in a different point in your life. You don't have the same distractions. You may not have the same stress. What is that? Is that?
It's different. It's only really different in the sense that I don't have the final say.
Right.
Honestly, really, it is.
Yeah.
It's like, but here's the thing with communication. A lot of people, business is communication. Life is communication.
Yeah.
If you don't communicate properly, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. I don't care what you
Completely
do. So I had to talk with my daughter because we kind of got our messages crossed about doing something, and I wanted to do something, but I knew we were going to be keeping an eye on him, and her plans had changed. And I'm like, okay, well, I can't plan anything if plans keep changing. It was nothing to no fault of her own. It's just that the people she was going to do something with never got back to her.
Right.
So her and I had a conversation, and I said, look, I really wanted to go eat some Mexican food because I haven't had some,
Right.
And when I cook, it's not considered Mexican food. But I wanted to go. And I thought, well, if I'm going to have him this afternoon, I'm just going to take him with me to do it. But I didn't think I was going to have him, so I didn't go do it. And so we had a conversation. She said, well, you know what? If you want to take him to go do something, then take him. So I'm like, oh, okay.
You didn't tell me I could.
Okay, well, guess what? If Butterbean's rolling with me, then if I want to go do something, he's going to come with me. And, so in that sense,
it goes right back to business, too. If we're talking about, like, if you don't go to your supervisor or boss and ask for that raise or tell them what the problem is and you keep it inside and you let it make you build up resentment towards them, to your colleagues, or to your company, and you leave, you could have missed an opportunity just because you were scared to communicate. And that's right back to us being more self-aware and not so scared to be different, and independent of our thoughts. And no, I agree. That's cool. I mean,
and then also goes to management, with the communication down to their direct reports and telling them if, where they need to build on. You can't expect anything out of them if they don't know what they're doing wrong or where their improvement is.
And corporate America is almost dead, man. It's alive, but it's not, in the sense that when you're recruiting people, when you're working with people, I like my employees, I don't want them to be scared of me when I walk in the room. Mm-hmm. I want to be open to problems, because if I'm open to problems, then I'm always going to be a solution, outlet for them. I could be a platform for solution instead of a platform for judgment.
Right.
And I think that's going to make a better, stronger relationship. And you can use that in personal too.
Yeah.
I mean, if you entrust in your significant other, your family member, or your boss to talk about what's important, okay, don't let it get too personal to where it's diminishing worth, your progress and work. But the fact that I'm able to talk to my employees and say, okay, what's wrong? How can we fix this? Let's work together. Instead of being that person at the top of the pyramid that's shouting at someone that shouts at someone else, and then it gets all the way down to the bottom, and then at that point there's no relationship.
Well, I think also a lot of people are, at least I think today, are more motivated by memes than principles.
Of course.
Yeah.
Well,
I heard this online, so this is my new culture.
They'll post a meme all day long, but then again, that's just BS fluff advertising. Because if you're not living by the words that you say, then who the hell are you? You're just putting something out there. Someone important said that inspirational quote, and you want your page to look inspirational for the day. Okay, so I'm motivated in the morning. I'm going to motivate all my followers because I'm going to get some likes. Because, see, that's another thing. It's like your followers, people who are clicking like those inspirational posts, they truly want to be inspired.
Yeah.
Inspiring is not putting, some words together that you don't live by. But if you're living by that, I think indirectly you're going to inspire,
Well, and you see that all the time on going back to social media, people posting, inspirational quotes or little messages, or even, especially like in the fitness industry, people are like, oh, I'll get my body back. And then, 3 days later, you see their diet.
I have an angle for you there. So fitness people, and I was into competitive fitness and MMA and stuff, years back, and I'm not anymore. But anyways, those people live by strict dieting, exercise, and a regimen every single day, but they're not doing their own thing on social media. They're still doing what everyone else is doing.
Exactly.
So I don't think they're not that unique. They're lazy in that aspect. Let me put it that way. So they're great and they're doing everything they need to be doing for content generation, but they're lazy in the aspect of not creating any, quality content that's different, that makes them unique and sets them aside from each other.
Well, and I think that goes into the whole marketing scheme of we fall into that cookie cutter.
Exactly.
Rut.
It's easy to.
Yeah, you see somebody doing it and you see that, okay, they have a bunch of followers, it's obviously working. Then
Right.
you do the same thing.
Exactly.
So, I mean,
But at the end of the day, what do you have as a brand? You know what I mean?
Oh, I agree with you 100%.
And relationships, that goes just back to, if you have a core relationship with your following or relationship with your clients or with your family, then it's going to be quality. It's not going to break. It's going to be there. Or at least if there's adversity anywhere, it's not going to fall apart immediately. Yeah. Who are you if you post something and you get 20 likes or 20 comments and then you don't go and comment on those comments? So it's like doing a presentation and then walking out of the room when it's time for Q&A.
Well, I'll tell you what, I like social media in the sense that I don't have to send pictures to my parents or any of my other family members. Do you remember back you had Fox Photo, you had to go, 1 hour photo, and my wife.
What was the store everyone went to, the drugstore, to do the photos?
Eckerd's.
Yes.
Yeah. And so, and my wife, once a year, she would, God bless her soul, she would go pictures and send them to my family, and because my family wouldn't know what I looked like if my wife hadn't sent pictures to them all these years. But I can, send this little thing right here is this phone is a wonderful tool or a horrible chain, depending on how you use it. But what I like about this is that I can keep in touch with my family, and all of us, and I don't know, maybe, and everybody listening or not, we don't talk to our moms enough. We don't call them enough. We don't say, "Mom, I love you. Thank you for doing what you do." And I don't, and I just said that on air.
Yeah.
But every day, I'll send her a picture of Butterbean. I'll send her a picture of what's happened out, see how things are going, because this is a form of communication that actually kind of works.
Right.
But there are times, when you have to pick up the phone, you have to call and you say, "Hey, how's everything going? How are you feeling? What's happening?" But the tool that it is, for that sense of being able to family members, and I don't post things for strangers to look at and say, "Oh, I want this, I want that." I post things so that my family and my friends say, "Hey, your grandson's growing, you're getting fatter," things like that.
Right.
But that's where I think we can utilize that. And as far as business goes, you always post up things that say, "Hey, we're going to be doing barbecue here."
Right.
It's not a business thing, but you know what? Guess what?
You
come and you start talking to each other.
Yeah.
Well, what do you do?
You know what? Yeah, I mean, it's not. You don't have to force feed information to people.
No.
You take it in. You work to common interests. Who do you know? Who can we work together to help? How can I work together with you to help you find that person? I think that we're missing a lot of that here. I think there's still that old school sales mentality where people, especially in this world, in the podcast world, there's always someone sponsoring someone, or there's always someone plugging something and still trying to push sales down your throat. I'm not calling them a sellout, but I'm just saying there's another angle to it, and that's what I'm trying to do here. I want everything that comes out of these speakers to basically motivate someone indirectly or directly. Maybe they don't hear something that says, "Well, you need to do X, Y, Z with your marketing plan so you can succeed and get X, Y, Z number." But they heard something in, the little bit of time we have that motivated them to make a decision that resulted in X, Y, Z number. Or not even a number, just a shift in motion, a slight shift in motion. If one angle's off on a house, it's going to fall over. You know what I mean? That one angle, if you can shift it, you can make it work right. And I think that's what we're getting at. Well, guys, we're almost wrapped up, but I have something for both of you. So I wanted to give y'all something today. So Will, I know you're a big Scotch whiskey connoisseur. So you can tell everyone what that is. I just pick up the good stuff, or try to, something cool.
Ben, you want to come over for some J&B?
No, because that's he's got much better.
Ben is actually a tequila connoisseur, and honestly, every time I see any cool tequila setup, I actually text Ben and say, "Man, check this shit out." So I saw this and I was like, holy hell, I see this and I want to drink it because it's double aged in whiskey barrels but it's tequila. I don't know if you've had it yet.
I have not had this one.
You've definitely got to let me try it out or tell me how it is.
Yeah.
It looks awesome.
It's a añejo, which is a darker, and what it is they most of the time they distill it, and the clear is just pure distilled. When it's got color in it, a reposado, it's been in a whiskey, it's been in a barrel, and then the añejo, which is the aged, is a lot of times in whiskey barrels, so you get that smoky flavor, that spicy.
Yeah.
We're going to tear this up.
We're going to try it out.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, guys, and I appreciate it, and I hope we can get together again soon.
No, thank you very much. I think if we say one last thing, it's a great thing you're doing, and I think everybody's got a story if you listen to it, and a lot of times you may go, oh my God, they were where I was, and they came through. So thank you so much. I'm honored.
I agree. Thank you for the opportunity. It's definitely support what you're doing.
And y'all, and then you're gonna ask anybody to come on the show. He gives you alcohol.
Hey, don't broadcast that. It's not like that. Here's the deal. If you're gonna take the time out of your day to come sit in this room with me and talk about whatever it is we're talking about, I just got to show my, gratitude there. It is what it is.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.